Let's take a look at the different Libyan tribes that show up in ancient Egyptian records, roughly covering the period before 1000 BCE. Quick heads up before we start. The picture of tribal distribution we're about to walk through is approximate, and it leans heavily on Oric Bates' work from the early 1900s. Egyptology research gets updated all the time, so some of these details might already be a little out of date. With that said, let's dive in. First up, the Tehenu. This name works as both a place and a people. It's our oldest label for them, first showing up on the Libyan palette, one of Egypt's earliest carved artifacts from the Proto-Dynastic period. The ancient Egyptians used Tehenu for the people living just west of the Nile. Closely related is the Temehu. Think of them as a more specific branch within the Tehenu family with their own subdivisions, who probably lived around the oases and along stretches of the Nile down in Nubia. Next, the Libu, also called Rebu. This was a powerful tribe based in what's now Cyrenaica. Researcher Oric Bates argues they should actually be seen as separate from the rest of the Tehenu, separate enough that they'd go on to fight them later in history. These are likely the very people Greek colonists eventually met and called Libus, a name that ended up applying it to the whole of North Africa west of the Nile. Then there's the Meshwesh, sometimes shortened to just Ma. They were the westernmost Libyan tribe and the last big one the Egyptians wrote about. The Meshwesh led and lost the final major Libyan invasions of Egypt. But here's the twist. They eventually ended up ruling Egypt anyway, peacefully, through the descendants of a man named Buyuwawa, who founded the 22nd dynasty. Many of his successors carried the title Great Chief of Ma or Meshwesh. Interesting side note, the name Meshwesh sounds a lot like Mazaces or Mazaces, names that Greek and Roman historians later used for several other Libyan tribes scattered across North Africa. Some scholars even think all of these names might share the same root as the word Amazigh. Those were the big groups. Now let's look at some of the smaller Eastern Libyan groups from this same period. First, the Chehek, a small group that may have just been a branch of the Libu. They joined the Libus' invasion of Egypt, which ended in defeat. Afterward, they were captured and pressed into service as mercenaries, later fighting on Egypt's eastern front, as recorded in Papyrus Anastasi I and Papyrus Harris. Here's something really cool. The oldest known text written in an Amazigh language may actually belong to this tribe, the Kehek Papyrus. Closely tied to them are the Imukek, mentioned just once in the autobiography of the official Amos Pen Nekbet. They might actually be the same tribe as the Kehek. Next, a whole cluster of names shows up together just once, in Papyrus Harris I, written around 1140 BCE. The Kekesh, Esbet, Shai, Hez, and Beken. They're listed as allies of the Meshwesh during that tribe's second invasion of Egypt under Ramses III. The Kekesh were probably a small tribe allied first with the Libu, and later with the Meshwesh during that second invasion. And just like the Imukek, some think Kekesh might simply be a different spelling of Kehek. The Esbet were likely the same people Herodotus later called the Asbistei. They might also be the Ekbet mentioned in the Tombos Stela, or even the Seped, who fought alongside the Meshwesh in that same second invasion. And finally, the Bacon, who might be the same people Herodotus called the Bacales, who lived in the region of Cyrenaica.